What's up, guys, and welcome back to the doctor's office. I am Dr. K right Knight, here to give you a proper diagnosis and prognosis and everything comics and comic book characters. So, we are on Absolute Wonder Woman number 3. And I'm not gonna lie, Absolute Wonder Woman is definitely my favorite of the 3, if y'all haven't heard me say it already. Definitely a fave. So in this one, we still have the Tetracide, which is coming towards Gate City, where they are. And we get quite a lot of background, but we also get introduced to Barbara Minerva, but in a different way, kind of, almost. So they're watching all of this on the news, and somebody's like, "Where's Barbara?" And she's actually literally standing right there, and she's the one who says Wonder Woman, and she leaves. So meanwhile, Wonder Woman, Diana, does come in back to the headquarters that they have down there, and she's like, "I'm not really sure how much longer I can stall this. I kind of just did like a little magic spell to slow it down, but at the end of the day, y'all gotta get out of here. And y'all aren't even going to get too far, if I'm being perfectly honest." And so she's like, "This is the Tetracide, and it kills in 4 ways, just as its name suggests: death of fear, death of mind, death of body, death of soul." And some idiot goes, "Oh, death of fear doesn't sound that bad." Sir, I'm about to ruin your whole entire thought process here and now. So death of fear is probably the worst of them, because it emits a sound, and this sound just completely kills your ability to be afraid of it, or just afraid in general. And it's going to it's going to make you want to be drawn to it, because you're not afraid of it or being killed by it. So you're going to do whatever you have to get to it. And in that process, it's going to basically cause a stampede with like the just influx of people, and the people who get killed in the stampede she says are the lucky ones here, but everybody else is going to go towards it, and they're going to be like eaten by it, basically. Those who are able to withstand the sound, like survive that first round, if they touch it, it's going to disintegrate their mind, basically, which the death of the body then quickly follows, and then the death of your soul, which is worse. So she's like, "I don't know what to tell y'all." Like, she literally keeps telling them to leave, and they're all still there. I would have left 24 hours ago, you know? Anyway, so then we kind of get into some past information. Well, actually, no, we don't. She decides to go back out and try to stall for more time so that they can get away, although they need to kind of figure out how to block the sound that is going to start emitting soon. And her and Pegasus are out on the beach. She's going to do what she can to fight it. And she tells Pegasus, use your hellfire, but stay away. And of course, he's like, no. I mean, he's not talking, but obviously through context, he's like, no. And she's like, as much as I want you to be close, I don't want him to touch you, because if he touched you, you're dead, and I highly doubt Zeus is going to bring you back a second time. So she gets her lasso out and her sword, and, starts fighting away. She has it tied up, and she's able to use her magic to pull out this gigantic axe. She manages to cut off a tentacle, but it grabs her arm, and then she's like, "Oh, my arm, please." And she uses her magics to make her arm disappear. Now, the whole thing about the arm. When Steve was in hell with them, they were basically kind of just like, sparring, practicing with the Hydra and everything. And she's like, "I think the Hydra really likes you." He's like, "I'm good, bro." And she gets into a book, and she's looking through spells, and she finds one that is able to send him home. and it's like a sacrificial spell. And she shows it to her mother, and her mother's like, no, you're not doing that. And she's like, I mean, but it's right there. She's like, no, you didn't understand what it was saying. She's like, I understand it perfectly. And like, I know Circe's like, trying to protect her daughter, and I totally get that, but she should already know, once Diana puts her mind to something, you're not going to be able to change it. So they all go to bed, and she's sitting up by the fire, and Circe gets up, and she sees her daughter just kind of sitting there in this cloak, and she's like, what's going on, what's wrong? And she's like, I couldn't stop thinking about it and all this other stuff. And she has cut off her own arm, and that is what she uses. Her and Circe do this spell, and that is what they use to send Steve Trevor home. And they do another complicated spell to kind of just like grow an arm back. So once that spell was released, when the Tetracide had her arm, she, one-armed, and she went back into their headquarters just to like see what it is that she needed to do. And they were like, hey, it took your arm. She's like, oh, I lost my arm a long time ago. Now, Steve did not actually know that, and he just found out that is how he was able to get back home, sacrificing a hero's arm. And so, she calls it a warrior's arm. Either way. So she does use like her expansion magic, which is what that is, and pulls out a robotic arm that she has, clips that on, and she figures out what complicated magic she needs to do, but she kind of still just needs them to get the fuck out of there. While she's leaving, she ends up bumping into Barbara Minerva, who like tripped and fell, and she got caught by Diana. And kind of like this little love at first sight connection type thing is what it looks like on paper. And so she's like, oh, you're Wonder Woman. And she was like, And she explains that Wonder Woman is what the Amazons would call the champion, who's like the best of them all. She's like, you are an Amazon, right? And she's like, you know of the Amazons? And she's like, oh, I did my dissertation on the myths of blah, 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 blah. And she was like, myth? And she's like, I mean, it's not a myth to me, and clearly not a myth to you. So, I'm just saying, like, that's what I did my paper on. And so she's like, okay, cool. Well, we can talk about this some other time. I have to go like save you people. So, I'll be back. And she's like, oh, I'm in the book. And she's like, I have no idea what that means, but be sure that I will find that out. And she leaves, and she runs into the TV crew, who has been reporting on the situation like the whole time. And she's like, hey, I need you guys to do something. So she takes them off air, and she's like, do not record this. Magic is sacred, and everybody shouldn't be watching it or whatever the fuck. But I do need you to record this part, and I need you to play it on a loop. So basically what she's telling everybody is that all the things that are happening, she is only one person, and she's trying to save all of them, and it's really actually kind of difficult. But the only way that she thinks that she can is to prevent them from coming towards that whole situation, which is what's going to kill them. So what she's going to do is temporarily make the entire city deaf so that they can't hear the sound come out. And it's up to them as a people to help their friends and neighbors to make sure that everybody is good and okay, don't panic, and things like that. So they record that, and she's like, I need you guys to play that on a loop, and I don't need you guys to do this live I don't need you guys to film this live and report on this part, because that is what's going to instill fear in people. She's like, I'm really counting on you guys to actually be good fucking people. So she does the spell, and she starts making and she destroys this orb that she has, and starts making people in the city deaf. So I absolutely loved this whole thing. The next issue is called Sound of Silence. I'm ready to see how exactly this plays out. And one of the things that I really love about the Absolute Wonder Woman series, outside of the way that they changed her origin, is that Circe actually gives a damn. You know what I'm saying? Because we always see Circe not giving a fuck about anything. But then you give Circe responsibility, and she grows to be just this amazing mom to Diana. and doesn't stop Diana from her purpose. Now, she cares a lot about Diana, which is why she didn't want Diana to do that spell, because she felt like it could hurt her potential. But then just to come up with a way to replace the arm with magic, and still even going so far as to probably help her build the robotic arm or the mechanical arm that she has on hand. All that training that she allowed Diana to do on her own, and what she trained her in, her giving her the ability to do these magics. But and even Diana admits that, you know, she's pretty good in magic, but her mother is like way better, but her mother's not there. So I'm really interested to see how it is that she comes out of hell also. So I just think that this one is so well done. This is such a well done story. And again, it's one of my it's my favorite, absolute favorite out of the 3. It is the one that hasn't disappointed me. So I'm still waiting on Absolute Superman number 3, because Absolute Superman number 2 was fantastic. I thought that one was much better than the first one, because I actually got to see Superman versus his parents. But this, I absolutely love how they've done Diana, and then putting Barbara Minerva in here. And for, of course, those who don't know, Barbara Minerva is Sheeta. So putting her in here in this way is very interesting. I don't think the two of them are the same age at all. Technically speaking, not they may be the same age spiritually speaking. But to put that little romantic thing in there when she's like, no, I've got you, but you could also tell that her feelings were very, very much towards Steve Trevor, you know, as they should be. I think it would be weird to not have her have some kind of relationship or friendship with Steve Trevor, but then put into a friendship or relationship with Barbara Minerva. I think that would have been like super, like way too weird. It not really makes sense with her character, because where would she have met Barbara at this point, you know? So I do like that they kept that part. And I haven't really seen anything negative towards the Absolute Wonder Woman series at all. Because usually there's like 1 or 2 negative comments, depending on what side it is that I'm reading. But I haven't really seen anything, but I also haven't seen too many people talking about the Absolute Wonder Woman series, and I really feel like we should, because I think hers is the one that fits the absolute most. Her design is amazing. They're leaning into her height, they're leaning into like her ability to do magic, because she is part of Justice League Dark for a while. I think she's like the leader of Justice League Dark for a while, which means she is based in magic, and she does do some magic in like Prime Earth and things like that, but leaning into her magic and like how she learned magic, who she learned magic from, I think is absolutely fabulous storytelling. The story is great. But you know, that's how DC does when they actually care about a character. They put their foot in the story, right? And they make it good. So, you know. Anyway. That is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office. I do have a audio podcast coming soon, so stay tuned for that. And of course, if you have not gotten the book, please do. And I'll see you guys at your next checkout.